Now, they usually show the latest Hollywood blockbusters to avid filmgoers, but now some Scottish cinemas will be screening live trial proceedings to juries to help clear the backlog of hundreds of court cases that have built up over lockdown. Well, Kay Nicholson is outside the High Court in Edinburgh for us tonight. Kay, what's the thinking behind this?
Yes, Emma, the courts were not immune to lockdown and they had to pause all court business at the end of March. So a working group was set up to look at how to address that inevitable backlog which would be caused by that. And today we're hearing that juries, like so many of us in these times, are going to be asked to work remotely, not from home, but from cinemas. A number of cinemas in Edinburgh and Glasgow will be converted into so-called remote jury centres. But this won't be any average cinema experience. Court officials will be there to supervise and assist. Movie posters will be replaced with court signage, and there certainly won't be any popcorn. Before lockdown, up to 16 High Court jury trials could be held at any one time. But social distancing rules mean that court buildings can now only host a handful of cases. So how can they return to normal business? By asking juries to watch a live stream from cinemas. Scotland's most senior judge hopes that this can tackle the 750 outstanding High Court cases within a year.
The problem is that at the same time there are further cases backing up in the normal way, and on current statistical projections that will mean a continuing backlog of 800. So in order to deal with these within, for example, the space of 2 to 3 years, we would have to see the number of High Court jury trials increased to some distance beyond 16 running simultaneously. Cinemas will therefore contain the appropriate furniture and signage which makes it clear to jurors attending the cinemas that this is not a place of entertainment.
Every angle of the courtroom will be on display so that jurors have a clear view of everyone involved in proceedings, from the judge to the accused. The cinemas will essentially become extensions of the courtroom, and jurors will also deliberate on their verdicts within the auditoriums. Many see this as a good opportunity to modernise the court system.
It's fair to say that a backlog has built up. That was inevitable as the court went into lockdown, like every other business in society. It's definitely the case that the pandemic has put a hand on the back of us all and moved us forward. We don't want to just be slavish about defending tradition. If we find out that something better works, then we should embrace that.
But there are still questions over what happens if jurors fall ill or have to self-isolate, and a warning that the remote jury plan won't solve the backlog on its own.
There are still huge concerns that we have and other organisations have around, juries and how that works in a pandemic. The coronavirus has created a crisis in our justice system, and the delays that are being faced by victims and their families are utterly unacceptable. We think it's really important that we get this backlog under control so that victims can finally get some closure.
The project is costing £5.5 million, funded by the Scottish Government. If it's a success, it could be extended out to lower-level sheriff and jury cases.
It costs money to hire out the venues, but also all the associated IT that comes with that to link the cinema up with the courtroom. Now, we've done some mock trials already that have been very successful in using the cinema complexes, so fingers crossed that that success continues. But ultimately, of course, that we restart the trials, and that could mean a lot, not just for justice, but for the people that have been involved and affected.
The locations of the cinemas have not yet been confirmed, but they're expected to be hosting juries by the end of the year. Kay Nicholson, STV News, Edinburgh.